Hey everyone, this is Andrew, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about the different kinds of voice that you can sing in. Now when I say different kinds of voice, what I mean specifically is chest voice and head voice. And I guess you could also say middle voice, or and falsetto. So the real difference between these kind of voices is really just where the frequency is resonating, and also there's like some slight stuff going on in the throat, but pretty much it's just where the notes are resonating, and that's kind of what makes the biggest sound difference. So just for example, let's say you're having really trouble getting up into really high notes. Like let's say you're a guy, you're a tenor, like me, and the highest note you can get is around G, which is around the 12th fret on the third highest string, or the third, depends how you look at it, the third string on a guitar. You're having trouble getting past that range. That was where I had difficulty before I learned how to sing in head voice. And when you start getting to that point, maybe you can get up to A, but then after that you're just pulling your chest voice. Now when I say you're pulling your chest voice, you kind of have to like really yell and strain your voice, and it's literally like stretching your voice, or that's what it feels like. And it's very fatiguing after a while, but and it's not good for your voice either. And it's good in certain purposes, but you shouldn't be pulling your chest voice for the reason that you can't sing in head voice. The only reason you should ever use it is for stylistic purposes. So when you go into head voice, it's not like you can sing all day in head voice just as long as as much as your chest voice. It's not any more strenuous. If anything, it's less strenuous actually. It feels more comfortable. It's lighter. And the biggest difference is that when you sing in chest voice, which is also most people's talking voice, unless you talk like different from normal people, nothing wrong with that. But so like I'm talking, you can put your hand in your chest as you talk. You can feel your chest resonate. And when you go into head voice, like let's say I'm talking in head voice, and I put my hand in my chest, and I don't really feel anything. But when I put my hand in my head, I feel more. But when I go back into chest voice, I feel it less in my head. Or I do still feel in your head, but that's just because, it's resonating in your mouth. And the chest feeling goes away. So you feel like, ah, 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 ah. And as you you go, ah, you still feel it down here, then, ah, 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 ah. And then at about that point, you can start feeling it in your chest again. And that's the biggest difference in what makes the sound, is that it's not resonating in your chest, and that's why it's a little thinner. The other part is that when you start going into head voice, your larynx will rise up a little bit. When you take classical kind of singing lessons, like classic singing, when you go to any kind of singing teacher, generally like a local music studio, they'll teach like classical style singing. They'll show you all the vowel shapes. So they literally have you practice like oh, like they have you practice the mouth shapes. So like they'll tell you like, you want to make like E is more like E. Like there's all these very specific mouth shapes that they have you practice, and these very specific kind of ritualistic things that singers have been doing forever, and that's kind of what like opera singers would do. That's like they have a very beefy tone, and it's good for that kind of singing. But as far as when it comes into like either pop singing, modern day rock singing, or metal singing, it doesn't apply. So that stuff's good to get started with, but at some point you're going to just realize that you don't need it anymore if you're not going to use that kind of stuff. So I don't even remember what I was talking about now, but anyway, so that stuff, you learn that in school and all these vowels and stuff, but like head voice, back to head voice. Now I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do head voice. I'm talking about what head voice is in this video. Now it's a good metaphor to imagine it when you're trying to go up in head voice. You're going like, ah, or something like that. Ah! You can imagine when you're in chest voice. Now, I've looked this up to see if it's actually true, and there's kind of some debate on whether this actually happens. When you're in chest voice, you have your vocal cords, right? And just like a guitar string, if you pull them tighter, they're going to go higher. And when you get to a certain point, you can't pull your vocal cords any higher. And then when you pull chest voice, you're literally pulling your vocal cords even more. It's very strenuous. And when you do head voice, the kind of metaphor you use, it's debatable whether it actually happens. If you Google it, maybe you'll find out more stuff than I did. I just briefly Googled it. You find out that these vocal cords, when you start going to head voice, instead of stretching more, they zipper up like a zipper, obviously. So instead of pulling more, they start getting shorter and vibrating at a shorter part of your vocal cords. And if you can imagine a guitar string, instead of having, like, you can either pull a chord tighter, or you can pinch it at a certain interval, and it'll make the note higher. So that's either a good metaphor. It may or not be true, depending on where you kind of look it up. But it's a good metaphor to help you get into it. So you can just imagine, like, right now my vocal cords are stretching, they're stretching, they're stretching, they're stretching, now they're zipping up, now they're zipping up, now they're zipping up! And so it's a good metaphor to kind of help you use. And it's also good to imagine that as you're going up in range, that you have this little ball of resonance that's moving up and down your body. Now it's in my throat, and now it's in my head. And when you sing in falsetto, it's in your head voice. And the only difference between falsetto and head voice is that when you're singing in falsetto, like, let's say, for example, these are your vocal cords. When you're singing in falsetto, you're like, ah, singing falsetto. And it's really airy, as you can, like, ah. But when you start going into head voice, so this is kind of hard to do, my voice might crack, don't judge me. So I go like, ah! So I'm hitting the same note, and this is really exercise really hard, but it really helps your voice. So you have like these airy vocal cords, and then you're hitting falsetto, and then as you start going into head voice, then they kind of close up. And so they're pulled or they're zippered up to the same tone, but the falsetto is just more open. So you just kind of have to learn to close the vocal cords. Now, don't imagine a tightening feeling. It should be more of a coming together feeling. I mean, a lot of singing is just about metaphors and ways to visualize things, because you can't obviously look in your throat and say, I'm going to zipper my vocal cords up now, and I want to scream, so I'm going to close my false vocal cords and use a little bit of my voice, and I'm going to death metal scream, so I'm going to just use no vocal cords, and I'm only going to use my false cords, and I want to yell scream! And so I'm just going to really push my thing and stretch my voice and have these yelling notes on there. And so you use metaphors to figure out each way to do this. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If I didn't cover something about head voice, ask me a question and I'll try to be very specific. In the next video, I'm going to go through some exercises that you can do to actually get yourself into singing in head voice. So yeah, I hope this helped. Leave me a comment, subscribe, like, favorite, blah, blah, blah. And thanks for watching, guys. See you later.